Hello there guys, Below 10,000 here, bringing you episode 3 of Rate Their Chances Season 3, the series where we rate the chances for potential newcomers making it into the DLC Fighter Pass 2 roster for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, inspired by the thread of the same name over on Smashboards, links in the description. Before anything else guys, I just want to say thank you so much for your support on episode 2. To my absolute surprise, we crushed that like goal of 1,000 likes in just 24 hours! I really didn't think you guys would hit the goal based on the like count for episode 1, so that was an absolute blast to see. That being said, just for a bit of fun, can we do it again? This time with a 24-hour time limit instead of a 48-hour time limit, 1,000 likes, can we do it? I have a lot of faith in you guys. Thank you again. Now to address certain points you guys made in my last video comments, if you want to skip straight to the ratings, check the timestamps in the description or the pinned comment of the video. First up, a short one. There was a commenter who said that because I feel only one Capcom representative is likely and Dante got my 90%, that Phoenix should not have been able to get over 50% for the logic to make sense. Now, the main issue is that my rating system has almost never run on traditional logic. I give my reasonings, and then I just chuck numbers out and see what sticks. My advice, just don't think too hard about it, don't look into it too much. The series is here to entertain, and that means my ratings are not going to follow any sort of logic. They really are just here for the sake of tension, drama, and a little bit of good fun. We love a good bit of high-stakes predictions in this household, after all. Next up, there were many discussions regarding Disney and their potential involvement in Smash. As you guys saw last episode, I leaned more to the side that Disney would be down to include Sora, but wouldn't allow the usage of Disney IP. However, I came up with a different theory now. Hear me out. Imagine for 1 second that Sora was being negotiated between Nintendo and Disney. Now, Disney is the type of company to force its IPs into everything known to man. We've seen it everywhere. Like the Skyrim of media corporations. So which situation is more believable? Disney allowing Sora, but only using Kingdom Hearts properties, making him a Kingdom Hearts representative, or Disney allowing Sora, but wanting Disney IP properties in Smash, making him a Disney rep as opposed to a Kingdom Hearts rep? Could you imagine the scenes if Sora wasn't allowed in Smash because Disney wanted a Let It Go remix added to the OST? I hate that it sounds like a joke, but I feel like this situation is far more likely than I'd care to admit. If anyone's going to overstep those boundaries, it's gonna be Disney. Lastly, I want to quickly address the Kako Malo leak as it stirred a lot of discussion and I want to make my stance clear on rumors and leaks. Rate Their Chances is a series based on rating characters on their merits, companies, etc. I try not to let potential rumors and leaks without credible sources cause bias to my ratings. As such, even if the Kako Malo leak were real, I don't really want anything to do with it, and I would rather predict characters without that extra knowledge. If you want leak tubers, Papagenos, Blocked Content, and LAX Chris are the people to go to. They will cover these topics and give them the time that they need. For me, I just don't want to be a part of that anymore. I don't want to be on the wrong side of history again like the Grinch leak. I can't go through that mental stress again, being pretty much the laughing stock of the community. You guys know how rough it got for me given that I ended up quitting the Smash scene for over a year. So, I'll bring up rumors during segments if they are relevant, because Lord knows if they get zero mention I'll get called out, but they will most likely have no bearing on my ratings unless they are from a verified source. It's just to kind of let you guys know they exist more than anything, and I hope you guys can respect that. And if something from the Kako Malo leak does get revealed as legitimate, I will reevaluate my ratings to accommodate as I see fit. That's that. Now, on to today's characters. You guys managed to hit last episode's like goal, so today we're rating 5 characters. Today's characters we will be rating are Isaac from the Golden Sun series, being rated as promised in my Golden Sun video I released the other week. Waluigi from the Mario series, as I can't rate one Camelot bro without the other. Ryu Hayabusa from the Ninja Gaiden series, who is shot up again in popularity due to rumors. Shantae from the Shantae series, who is arguably the most requested indie character left, and for our 5th character, they will remain a mystery. This is a character I'm actually rating for a close friend as a thank you for his support of the channel over the years. Rick, if you're watching, this one's for you. You may have noticed that there was no most liked character represented here from the comments of the last video. Quite simply, a majority of the comments I saw as of scripting this video, which was on the 13th, there just weren't many liked comments that stood out, so I just decided to choose characters I thought would be the most interesting to discuss for me personally. Please remember my ratings do not reflect the views of Sakurai, Nintendo, or anyone else except myself. These are simply my thoughts based on the information we have, as well as a healthy heaping of listening to my gut. If you agree or disagree, leave your thoughts in the comments below, but please remain civil, no arguments. I read all the comments and try to keep up with as many as I can, the good and the bad. And I do see all of your requests, yes. Even you, person who wanted Akira Kazama from the Rival Schools Fighting series. Though with such a deep cut, you're setting yourself up for a very painful rating. Anyway, without further ado, let us begin. First up, we have my most wanted character in Smash for over a decade, the Venus Adept himself, Isaac from Golden Sun. Before we begin this segment, however, I would advise you guys to check out my most recent Golden Sun is Coming to Switch and I Have Proof video, which I released on the channel a few weeks back. Clickbait title aside, there will be a link in the top right corner and in the description so you can check it out. I would advise you at least watch the portions of the video pertaining to Golden Sun's recent registered trademark, which is not a renewal, and Camelot's recent activity as a company, as that information will be factoring into my ratings, and I won't be going as in-depth here as I was in that video. So I'll give you some time to pause this video, go watch that one, and then come back. Okay, whether you've watched the previous video or not, let us begin. Isaac is the main character of the first Golden Sun game, which debuted in 2001, as well as a party member for both the first and second titles. He briefly appears in Golden Sun Dark Dawn in a much older capacity, now as a father to the new protagonist Matthew. He's one of a few main characters to appear in all 3 Golden Sun games, alongside Garrett, Kraden, and Alex, and for many, he is the face of the franchise. The Golden Sun series has had a rather tumultuous experience across its 3 games, with the original pair of GBA games selling over 1 million copies each, being some of the most beloved on the system, only for Nintendo to absolutely drop the ball and put Dark Dawn on the DS, right as the 3DS was coming out. I'm a strong believer that had Dark Dawn simply had a better marketing campaign, we might have seen more Golden Sun content released between 2010 and 2020. As it stands, Dark Dawn didn't even break 1 million sales, but was still a solid entry into the series and left us on a cliffhanger ending that is yet to be resolved. But let's focus on Isaac himself for a second. At first glance, you'd think he's a sword fighter, he's the protagonist of a JRPG, he has a sword. We already have Hero, why do we need him? Well, anyone who calls Isaac an anime swordsman is sorely mistaken. The Golden Sun series is famous for its synergy abilities, elemental attacks based on 4 different properties: Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Mercury, which represent the elements of Earth, fire, wind, and water respectively. In other words, Golden Sun did Avatar: The Last Airbender before Avatar did it. Isaac is a Venus Adept, which means he can bend Earth to his will, creating spires of rock to fall on opponents, causing tremendous tremors to rock the battlefield, creating vines from the floor to ensnare his opponents, summoning a giant energy sword Ragnarok to crush enemies from the skies. If you've played Golden Sun, you know that the synergy system is deep and the moveset potential is extremely vast. Of course, you also have the abilities from his assist trophy. Move is the most basic of utility synergy in Golden Sun, used to solve puzzles, and those moves that he uses could be implemented into his moveset, albeit shrinking the giant synergy hands down to a more manageable size and maybe making them his grabs. But that's not all. In Golden Sun, throughout your adventure, you collect creatures called Jin, elemental creatures that power up your party and give you access to special attacks, buffs, debuffs, etc. Every DLC fighter so far has had a unique gimmick to them, and while Isaac's synergy already fits that bill, imagine if he could switch elements using different Jin, effectively giving Isaac 4 different movesets. Isaac's allied adepts on Twitter has a different variation on the Jin mechanic. Isaac's down special could act similarly to Shulk's, where you have 4 different iconic Jin from the series, 1 from each element, and they launch a different attack. However, in Golden Sun, once a Jin is used, they are placed on a cooldown, and until the cooldown runs out, your stats lower. Well, they're not placed on a cooldown instantly, just wait till the final Smash and I'll explain. So, in Smash, when using a Jin attack, you could have certain debuffs placed on you, similar to how Shulk's Monado arts causes stats and weaknesses to change, mirroring how Isaac would lose his stats from using up his Jin in Golden Sun. For more information on that moveset and more information on Golden Sun and Isaac, please check the Isaac's Allied Adepts Twitter account and look at the pinned mega thread for more information, links down below. Lastly, his final Smash. When a Jin is used, their name turns red in the UI in Golden Sun and they are placed on standby. Depending on the amount of Jin you have on standby, you can then use them to summon devastating attacks on your enemies, and after the summon, your Jin then go into cooldown mode. And honestly, no summon is more iconic to the Golden Sun franchise, in my opinion, than Judgment. If this isn't his final Smash, I will be very shocked. That's all I need to say on the matter. As far as spirits go for the DLC Spirit board, we saw with ARMS that they don't mind reusing spirits already in-game. However, if they want to implement new spirits alongside the ones we have already, Sheba and Piers from the second game's party, everyone aside from Matthew in the third game's party, Kraden, Alex, Saturos, Minardi, the Wise One, Dullahan, Tret, the Jin themselves, there are still a wide variety of characters to fill the spirit board. Music-wise, Golden Sun has so many amazing tracks to draw from, and a majority of them would fit right at home in Smash. The series is composed by Motoi Sakuraba, who is also the main composer for the first Dark Souls game, as well as the Tales series. He is insanely talented, and has worked on Smash to compose many remixes and rearrangements for the series since Brawl. He was absent as a composer for the first DLC Fighter Pass, but he has since returned with Steve, rearranging the Arc Illager theme. I think it's a crime that we don't even have Isaac or Saturos' battle theme in Smash already, and I am praying for their eventual inclusion. Stage-wise, the most iconic locations from the series would be the elemental lighthouses. There are 4 in-game representing each element, and as Isaac is a Venus adept, the Venus lighthouse makes the most sense to include. It's the final dungeon of the first game, and has a natural stage hazard when the beacon is lit, as it can split into 4 pieces. You could also have the Fusion Dragon, the final boss of the first game, appearing as a background asset to liven up the stage. Or you could pull a Minecraft stage and include all 4 lighthouses, just switching the aesthetics to whichever location you prefer. Okay, this is already my longest segment in Rate Their Chances history, and we haven't even got to the potential chances yet, so let's get to it. Straight away, Isaac is currently an assist trophy in-game. This means that if you believe the rule assists cannot be upgraded in the same game, you're not going to agree with my ratings, ever. With Fighter Pass 2, I feel all of the rules have been chucked away in favor of simply bringing together characters with immensely different gameplay styles, who will make Smash feel complete, fan rules be damned. Isaac, dare I say, feels like he belongs in Smash. Golden Sun is Nintendo's only real first-party traditional JRPG IP, and in its heyday, it was insanely popular. As a Nintendo fan, for me, it just feels right for Golden Sun to finally make that jump and fulfill a dream I've had for over a decade now. I'm not going to stop asking for Isaac, because the moment our voices stop, we've given up. That being said, Golden Sun hasn't had a game in 10 years, and IPs tend to either need a future or be super iconic like Banjo to get into Smash these days. So does this hurt Golden Sun? Well, if you watch the Golden Sun video on my channel, like I asked at the start of this segment, the trademark information I discussed there shows that it is exceptionally likely that Golden Sun will be making a return of some form very soon, hopefully in 2021. With a potential new Golden Sun game having been in development since the end of Mario Tennis Aces, it lines up perfectly to be a promotional character pick if we want it. The roster for this game was finalized in mid-2019 after all, and by that point Golden Sun was already in development, assuming we are correct about that. I find it hard to believe that Sakurai wouldn't have heard of that, given Isaac's fanbase is one of the few first-party fanbases left who have been vocal since before the Brawl days. Given the abysmal marketing of Dark Dawn, perhaps Nintendo don't want to risk screwing up the new Golden Sun game's release. By adding Isaac into Smash, they give the series the platform it needs to succeed. It also helps that various people in the video game industry have been making tweets about Golden Sun over the past few years. The Golden Sun fanbase holds Golden Sundays to help keep the IP relevant. We've put in the work. Even though our character is currently an assist trophy, I truly believe that if all characters can be upgraded regardless of status, Isaac is still very much in contention. To summarize, my hopes for Isaac hinge on this potential new game coming out. If the Golden Sun fanbase was completely wrong about the trademark and Camelot's latest project, Isaac isn't going to get in, not at all. But if we're right and a new game is coming, Golden Sun will have a future, and that's honestly the only thing I feel holding Isaac back as a character, as he ticks all of the other boxes for a brilliant and deserving addition to the roster. I'm going to give Isaac a chance score right now of 50%. The assist trophy argument is invalid to me at this point. I don't think a character's role matters unless it was decided during the DLC period itself. Base game content is clearly up for a revision. Look at Bomberman. But I can't give Isaac anything higher than a 50 until we know the status of Camelot's next title. If it's Golden Sun, Isaac's chances boost very high. If it's not, Isaac is probably out of the running. So, like I did with K. Rool in Season 1 Episode 1, he sits at a 50%. However, if I ignore the logic and go with my gut, I'd probably give Isaac an 85%, so consider that not the official rating, but how I personally feel if I were wanting to take a risk. But I want to be fair, 50% is where we're staying. As for a want score, Isaac is my most wanted character, the fighter who, if he was added, I would want nothing else. I would be content, I would just stop. It's only fitting that he is the first and only person to get a 101%. I'm so sorry this segment went on for so long, but I hope you guys understand how passionate I am for this character, and I hope you're willing to put aside the assist trophy argument and give him a chance. At least play Golden Sun, they're really good. Speaking of the assist trophy argument, next up we're taking a look at who I'd consider to be the poster child for the assist trophy brand, Waluigi. This purple menace with a penchant for cheating in sports has been a highly requested character for a very long time, to the extent where his reveal as an ultimate assist trophy went mainstream on the internet. In my opinion, the Waluigi and Isaac fanbases are pretty linked, like blood brothers in a way, as both characters were developed by Camelot. Both characters have been trying to get into Smash for the same amount of time, both characters are currently assist trophies, and the fanbases for each character did not react positively to their ultimate reveals. Waluigi first debuted in Mario Tennis way back in the year 2000, having been created as a doubles partner for Wario, and while his initial reception was polarizing to say the least, it's safe to say that Waluigi has amassed a terrifyingly large cult following. I think he'd be pretty happy about that. However, Waluigi has been stuck in spin-off hell, having never received a truly major spotlight within the main Mario franchise. The closest he ever came being the Waluigi costume in Super Mario Odyssey. Fans dream of Waluigi getting his own game, or at the very least, being a part of the main series. For a moveset, Waluigi would have to be inspired by the various spin-off titles he's come from, as well as incorporating his cheating ways into his moveset as well. Perhaps a move that could roll a Mario Party dice, dealing damage based on the number rolled, like Game & Watch's Judge? Or perhaps he could simply use a vast array of sports equipment to keep his opponents at bay. Whatever the case, if we don't get Waluigi air swimming for his recovery, I will be sorely disappointed. As for a special mechanic unique to him, I'm gonna be honest, I've got no ideas, but I would love to see something that incorporates how he's a cheater, a troll mechanic of some sort, though honestly my brain is not gigabrain enough to think of more than a simple concept. So comments, give me your evil Waluigi moveset ideas. Let's terrify the internet. If I see any good ones, I'll feature them at the start of next episode. In terms of a stage, the location most associated with Luigi's bitter rival, aside from the inside of an assist trophy case, is the Waluigi's pinball track from Mario Kart DS, a massive pinball machine dedicated to the myth, the legend, the Wah himself. Imagine a stage based on a pinball machine where players would have to fight while avoiding pinball bumpers and stage hazards, as well as the karts themselves, assuming we use the Mario Kart variant and don't change the races for pinballs. And honestly, that knocks out two birds with one stone. We get a Waluigi stage, and we get pinball representation in Smash. Music would be as simple as grabbing some iconic Mario sports themes, as well as any Waluigi-based themes we've had over the years, and chucking them into his fighter pass. I'd love to hear some music from Mario Golf Advance for the GBA myself, and we'd have to get some older music as Mario Tennis Aces is already covered in Ultimate. Spirits, however, are where I feel I'm most concerned about Waluigi, because I don't think the quality of spirits he could bring are as unique or interesting as the rest of the DLC cast. Waluigi would have to bring stuff from the Mario sports titles probably, but what? Reskins of Mario characters in various sportswear? I'm gonna be honest, I don't like the idea of getting spirits similar to ones already in-game. We've already got sportswear spirits for certain Mario characters in Ultimate already, but if all of Waluigi's spirits were items, they wouldn't feel remotely as special or important compared to the rest of the DLC spirits. I feel like the spirits need to stand out for me to feel like I'm getting my money's worth. It's a similar issue I had with Min Min given they reused in-game spirits for her board, and admittedly it would also be an issue I have with Isaac as well. If anyone down below has ideas for original spirits that could make up Waluigi's spirit board though, I would love to hear them. I just don't think that sportswear and equipment are really DLC spirit board worthy. They feel more like base spirit additions you'd run into on a random path in World of Light. Now, looking at the chance for Waluigi to make it into the roster, let's analyze. Same with Isaac, I am completely disregarding the assists cannot be upgraded argument in favor of judging the characters based on their merits. Now, in Waluigi's case, despite being a Camelot bro, I don't think he and Isaac are remotely in any form of contention with each other. They both fill completely different niches on the roster, one being a JRPG earthbender, the other being a creature of self-pity filled with an inherent rage and sports equipment. Waluigi at the very least has been used in enough spin-offs that he's really a Nintendo character who happens to be created by Camelot, as opposed to a Camelot representative. And on top of that, I don't believe the argument that only one assist trophy can be upgraded, because Nintendo and Sakurai are not choosing characters based on their roles in the base game, they're choosing characters based on who's going to sell money, who makes sense, and who could have an interesting moveset. As far as a potential upgrade goes, we know that Sakurai is aware of the outcry surrounding Waluigi's reveal as an assist trophy. Reggie, back when he was still president, said that Sakurai will be aware of the groundswell of support that appeared for Waluigi, and in the end, it's his decision to make, source to that down below. Waluigi will always be on Sakurai's radar as a character he knows is wanted. If this truly is the last Fighter's Pass of DLC, and these last 4 fighter packs round out the roster, this would be Sakurai's last chance to make some of the bigger fan demands from the past a reality. Characters like Isaac, Waluigi, and Gino are all holding on to the hope that Sakurai will go back and say, you know what, they've waited long enough. And I do think we will get 1 or 2 picks this pass that reflect the wants of the older Smash community, as opposed to big third party of the week. Waluigi is a rare character who doesn't really need anything else aside from the fan support to bolster his chances. He's a mainstay in the spin-off Mario titles, he's not hurting for in-game appearances, and aside from having a potential spirit issue, the only thing keeping him from a spot on the roster really is Sakurai and Nintendo themselves. Many might say Waluigi is a meme pick, that his fans want him for the meme, but that couldn't be any further from the truth. Waluigi has always had a dedicated fanbase and cult following for years. Just because the character happens to look eccentric, that doesn't make them a meme. The community called Steve a meme pick just based on his appearance, and their opinion that Minecraft is a kid's game, despite the fact that most people who grew up with Minecraft from the beginning are in their 20s now. But I digress. Waluigi has the demand, but is he likely? Well, if we're going by series representation, he's probably in contention with Geno. I doubt that the Ultimate Team would want to double dip into the same series in the same Fighters Pass, because it could be considered an oversaturation, and also having 2 Mario series DLC spirit boards within 4 DLC passes of each other would feel a little cheap. Or maybe that's not an issue, who knows, but so far the patterns we've seen suggests 1 series rep per pass. In that sense, I give Waluigi a chance score of 60%. I actually think he's quite likely in all honesty, but I'd be more inclined to believe Waluigi ends up being a surprise bonus fighter as opposed to a fighter pass fighter. If he is on the pass though, I could see him getting in with a Geno Premium Mii costume. Waluigi has the demand, you just need to hope that Sakurai is listening. As for a want score, I give Waluigi an 85%. Yeah, that's a lot higher than some of you were expecting, I'm sure. If we could get both Waluigi and Isaac in this game, I'd be very happy, because the Camelot Bros would stay united, and also because the Stoic Seraphim comics on Twitter would be so good. A talented ninja and an iconic video game character. Next up, we've got Ryu Hayabusa from the Ninja Gaiden series. A character who many had assumed was a shoo-in for the first Fighters Pass, both because of various leaks, as well as being a potential first representative for Koei Tecmo, who have been working extremely well with Nintendo recently on the Nintendo Warriors games, as well as helping out on Fire Emblem Three Houses. Honestly, I was on board as well. I was convinced we'd be seeing Ryu Hayabusa in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but now, have my sentiments changed? Let's dive into this character and see what we shall see. First debuting in the 1998 video game Ninja Gaiden for the arcade and NES, Ryu Hayabusa is a dragon-human hybrid who wields the legendary Dragon Sword, and is an extremely versatile ninja who is no stranger to fighting games. While his home series has gone from action-adventure to hack and slash, he has had major appearances in the Dead or Alive fighting games, as they are owned by Team Ninja, who took over the Ninja Gaiden series in 2004. If you're looking for a character who can represent a company, Hayabusa is effectively what Terry was to SNK. All of their series from Ninja Gaiden, Dead or Alive, and even Neo are connected through Hayabusa, although in the case of Neo it's his ancestor Jin Hayabusa. So, if we're looking for spirits to represent Hayabusa, you don't need to hold yourself down to Ninja Gaiden, but perhaps the entirety of this shared universe. I'd love to see Kasumi or Hayate from Dead or Alive make the cut, or even William from Neo in that case. The same could be said for the music for his DLC pack. We could see some classic Ninja Gaiden remixes, but we could also see some music from Dead or Alive being brought over to Smash as well. The possibilities are quite exciting if you consider that as an option. As far as moveset goes, here is where people might need convincing on this character. Hayabusa's main gimmick is obviously that he is a ninja, that's his character, it's what people know him for. And that's great, but then you remember Sheik and Greninja are also on the cast, and both of them are also ninjas. So what does Hayabusa have that makes him unique from these two characters that would make Sakurai more inclined to choose him? As we know, Sakurai is really taking moveset potential into account with this DLC. Well, in terms of archetype, Sheik and Greninja are both fast combo characters. We've not got a ninja that relies on a slower, more methodical approach to gameplay. While he may still have the zoning tools you'd expect of a ninja, it would be interesting to see him wield more than just his dragon sword. He's used melee weapons in his game, such as a Kusarigama, and he's extremely proficient in hand-to-hand combat as shown in his Dead or Alive appearances. He would still be a ninja, just a different type of ninja, perhaps arguably more accessible given Sheik and Greninja are fairly technical combo characters for most beginners. Still, I'm not the most knowledgeable about his series, and while checking around his Wikipedia page and his Smashboards thread, I struggled to find an aspect of his character that could make for an interesting, unique style, similar to all of the gimmicks that most of our DLC fighters have had so far. So if any of you guys have any ideas for unique moveset potential, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on the topic, seeing as Hayabusa was so highly demanded from you guys, so I assume you're all fans of his series, even if it's just one move that acts in a special way like Banjo's Wonder-Wing attack, that's all we really need. Now, the chances of Hayabusa being in based solely on his character's legacy and his parent company are actually really good. As mentioned, Hayabusa is owned by Koei Tecmo, a video game company who have had a wonderful partnership with Nintendo in recent years, and as I mentioned at the start of this segment, they've been working on Hyrule Warriors, they've been working on Fire Emblem Three Houses, Age of Calamity. They're a Japanese company who arguably deserve the representation, as Smash has notably been used as a celebratory tool for various Japanese developers and their characters in the past. It's no secret that most of the third-party guests in Smash come from Japanese developers, with Microsoft and Rare being the exception if we don't include Mii costumes. And beyond that, Hayabusa got his start on a Nintendo console. The last character to have a legacy like that of note was Simon Belmont, and look where Castlevania is right now. Ryu Hayabusa is the last of the NES legacy characters who truly feel like they deserve a spot on the roster, as a way to celebrate those retro years of Nintendo. That being said, none of that is the reason why you want me to rate this character, and I know it. People want me to rate Hayabusa because Vergaben, yes, that Vergaben, mentioned that there were talks between Nintendo and Koei Tecmo in regards to Smash, and because Minecraft was added into the game like he claimed last year, suddenly everyone trusts him again. Now, while I don't doubt that Vergaben has some credibility, he was completely right about the base roster after all, his Minecraft claims, while ultimately true, were filled with so many details he didn't get right. Some will chalk this up to, oh, they've been trying to get Minecraft in for a while now. Steve could have been base game, but they held him back. Give Vergaben a break. But look, if you got details wrong, I have valid reason to hold skepticism towards your words. I have nothing against Vergaben. I'll always keep an ear out for what he has to say, because his help back in the days of the base roster was invaluable. But for this series, I don't need a leaker to tell me that Hayabusa is likely. The cards are already on the table, and this character was likely long before he got the rumor treatment. With all that in mind, I give Hayabusa a chance score of 90%. He's Koei Tecmo's only real character they could add, who would also make sense in the context of Smash. I still think his moveset could be an issue, but I'm coming at that from the place of someone who has no experience with his home series. Sakurai will find a way if he so wishes, and we know how much Sakurai loves his NES retro reps. I think he's likely, I just don't need a rumor to tell me that. As for a want score, this is where things get a bit dicey. Hayabusa gets a 20%. I get why he would be added. I would be very happy for his fan base. I would be happy for Koei Tecmo if he does make it in. But I'm gonna be real, his character just doesn't appeal to me in the slightest. So I wouldn't really make much of a fuss if his character made the jump. I'm pretty content with Steve for the moment anyway. Just, you know, it would pass me by. Fourth up on today's docket, we've got an indie character with the pedigree and tenure to hang out with the big boys. Could she be making a transformation from spirit to playable? It's Shantae, the half-genie hero. Here to, as the kids would say, whip and nay that hair into her opponents. Shantae has had a presence in Rate the Chances history from the very beginning. In Season 1, she started off with a 35%, getting bumped up to a 50% after Shovel Knight's reveal, before ultimately ending up as a base game spirit. However, the first Fighter's Pass was very rough for her, getting a 5% due to the belief that, at the time, spirits couldn't be upgraded to playable. And for that specific pass, that was indeed the case. But with Min Min's upgrade to playable in Fighter Pass 2, nothing is off the table, and Shantae's chances have been, for the moment, renewed. However, with Steve hailing from the most successful indie game of all time joining the roster, what are the chances that another indie in the form of Shantae will also make it in? Let's discuss. Shantae debuted in 2002 on the Game Boy Color with a game simply titled Shantae. Her game, while interesting from a gameplay perspective, was an absolute flop, as it made a very similar mistake to the third Golden Sun game, coming out on a console that had already been replaced by a newer model, in this case, the Game Boy Advance. Because of this, nobody bought the game, and that should have been the end of Shantae. But it wasn't. Shantae returned in 2010 with a game for the Nintendo DSi through the DSiWare service and received positive reviews from critics and fans alike. From that point onwards, the series has had a much healthier rate of growth, with there now being 5 total games in the franchise, the 4th having been a Kickstarter crowdfunded campaign from 2013 that actually ended up doing well. Thank the Lord for good Kickstarter games to block out the horrors like Shenmue 3 and Mighty No. 9. In terms of fighting style, Shantae would definitely be very unique, as she has multiple games worth of unique abilities to draw from. From her original game, she has the ability to transform into various animals like a monkey, an elephant, a spider, and in more recent games, a bat, a mouse, a crab, and a harpy. This is already a unique mechanic that could change her moveset, or at least her stats, based on what form she takes, though she would only be able to hold onto her transformed form for a short time for balance purposes. And of course, they probably wouldn't implement every transformation, just a few of the more iconic ones. However, she also has had games where she was unable to use her transformation powers, in which case she can use a variety of pirate weapons to also enhance her moveset. A pirate hat glide, pistols, and of course, she has her iconic hair that she can use to whip and nay her enemies into shape. I imagine she'd be similar to the Belmonts in terms of items incorporated into her moveset, but her transformations, if implemented in an interesting fashion, could make her a unique fighter in her own right. In terms of meeting the fighter pack requirements, Shantae shouldn't have any issues. With 5 games of music to pull from, she won't be hurting for some new remixes to add to the music list, while in terms of spirits, you have a large ensemble cast from the series, including Risky Boots, the main antagonist, Rotty Tops, Mimic, Sky, Bolo, and you could arguably include Shantae's transformations as their own spirits too. In terms of a stage, I'm less knowledgeable about the series than I'd like, though Shantae is on my to-play list one day, by the way. But I have to imagine that Scuttletown, Shantae's home, and the town she protects would be the playable stage. You could have Risky Boots firing cannons from her ship at the town as a stage hazard every now and then, but primarily focus on showing the hustle and bustle of the town as a hub. Now then, the part we have all been waiting for, Shantae's potential chances this time around. Shantae is an indie character owned by WayForward. She's had a prominent role on Nintendo consoles, and the history to solidify a potential spot on the roster. She's a character who grew in popularity following Smash 4, as she had a lot of support in the good old fighter ballot, and with a spirit in the base game, it's clear that Sakurai and his team know that support is there. Now, WayForward is a Western developer based in California, so if Shantae were to get in, she would simultaneously be a Western and independent representative for the roster, which would have been breaking major ground if Steve hadn't shown up, breaking that ground himself. My issue with WayForward is the same issue I had with companies like Activision, Ubisoft, and Bethesda in my previous videos. Like it or not, Sakurai and his team tend to be more biased towards bringing in characters from Japanese developers. Aside from Microsoft's Western characters, we've yet to see that trend really be broken, and if that trend were to be broken, which character would you guys say is more likely to make the waves? Shantae, an indie character with a healthy franchise that is known in Nintendo circles, but not so much in the greater gaming community, or someone like Crash Bandicoot or Doomslayer who have far more mainstream appeal? Yes, indie characters can get into Smash, Steve has proved this, but how likely is it that we'd receive multiple of these characters in the same Fighters Pass? I'd like to see who the next character is down the line before I make any more big statements, so I'm not going to write Shantae off just because a bigger indie got in already, but just like Cuphead and Sans, I could see Shantae making the jump, but as a Mii costume instead of a playable fighter. The premium Mii costume model is perfect for smaller indie characters and companies. The fact is, the only indie character in Smash happens to be one of the biggest indie characters out there. That's a high bar, and it would make sense if other indie characters were given the costume treatment due to the sheer amount of characters in contention for this Fighters Pass, causing Sakurai and Nintendo to make some tough decisions. Ultimately, I think Shantae will at the very least get a costume before all of this is over. As far as playability, it really depends on who comes next. I don't think they'd reveal Shantae next regardless, so I feel comfortable giving her a rating that suggests we'll come back to her and re-rate as needed. As such, Shantae for now gets a chance score of 20%. I don't know if there are any Shantae rumors flying around online that might help her chances, but a 20% isn't bad. It just means she has room to either grow or fall, depending on re-rates down the line. WayForward does have history with Nintendo after all. I just think with 4 spots left, she has a lot of competition to get through if she wants a playable spot on the roster. As for a want score, I'll give Shantae a 45%. I haven't played her games, and she's not really one of my wanted characters. I completely get the appeal, but I'll admit from the outside looking in, her design sometimes feels a bit over-sexualized in some instances, and that always made me a little uncomfortable. Not to say that's a bad thing, it's just a reason why I never clicked with her character before. Great hair though, I'd love to meet her stylist. Now then, one more character left to rate, and this character, left as a mystery, is being rated as a thank you to one of my good friends, Rick, for helping me out over the last few years. With that being said, that's right. Taking up the final spot in today's episode, a character I have long been waiting to rate on this series, from a franchise that really deserves another playable character on the roster, we have, from Sonic the Hedgehog, Big the Cat. This purple feline is a lovable character with a heart of gold and a cult following to boot. With a spirit in the base game of Smash Ultimate, Sakurai knew that Big was a popular choice. However, after Min Min being upgraded to playable, the floodgates have opened and Big is awaiting his shot. But is he big enough to get into Smash? Let's take a look. Big the Cat first debuted in Sonic Adventure back at the end of 1998 in Japan, while being introduced to the rest of the world in September of 1999. Big kind of just stumbles into the plot of the game while searching for his best friend Froggy, who has been possessed by Chaos, the main antagonist of the game. His gameplay revolves around fishing, and he uses his trusty fishing rod to get Froggy out of trouble. Despite being a part of a small side campaign, Big finally got his big break, playing a vital role as the power of Team Rose in Sonic Heroes. Sonic Heroes. It's here where Big finally gets to let loose and use his raw power and strength to belly flop his opponents into the dust. He also showcases his ability, being able to grind along rails like the rest of the Sonic cast, and he's also, as stated before, an insane fisherman, able to fish his way out of any situation. He can use his fishing rod to grab opponents, slice at them with his fishing line, and he can even slow his descent using his fishing rod's umbrella. Yes, his fishing rod has an umbrella. Now, if we're looking at moveset potential that is unique for Big, I think we have everything we need if we use Sonic Heroes, the best Sonic game, as a reference. Perhaps after a certain meter is filled, Big can summon Amy and Cream, like how Joker summons Arsene, and the trio of Team Rose can perform a variety of deadly attacks like Amy's hammer spins, or Cream chucking various helpless Chow across the stage at their enemies, similar to Olimar's Pikmin. Naturally, his final smash needs to be the Team Rose team attack, there's just no other option here. As far as DLC requirements go, Big could come with a variety of Sonic themes that haven't already been added to Ultimate. There's an entire franchise of tunes yet to be included that don't have to involve Big himself. And the same goes for the Spirit Board. There are tons of characters that haven't appeared as spirits yet from the franchise, but we definitely need a Froggy Legend class spirit to truly test our mettle. As for a stage, I honestly think the most fitting location for Big would be the Frog Forest from Sonic Heroes. Why? Because Big likes frogs, and Frog Forest has the potential for some interesting stage gimmicks based on the various frogs that call the place home. There's rain that kills and revives plants, which could make a stage that is constantly shifting and changing a competitive nightmare, but a casual's dream. Though if we want to go for a less natural looking stage so we don't contrast with the existing two Sonic stages, Rail Canyon from the same game would also be a fun choice, as you can use the rails to grind around, creating an entirely new gameplay mechanic just for Big Stage that all the characters would have to adhere to. You know Sakurai would do it. Now then, with all of this in mind, how likely is Big the Cat to actually make the jump? Well, Big is from a franchise that already is represented in Smash, who is in dire need of a second character whose moveset truly represents their character, as Sonic's moveset is outdated and a common point of contention for most Smash fans. Being owned by Sega, who recently got Joker in Smash through Atlas, and Bayonetta in Smash back in the Smash 4 days, it's clear that Nintendo and Sega get along very well, enough for them to consistently get new characters in each DLC period. As such, is it crazy to assume that another Sonic character could be on the cards? Tails and Knuckles are out because they got paid Mii costumes in Fighter Pass 1, Shadow was passed on as an Echo Fighter and made an assist, so clearly they don't give a fuck about him. Eggman simply wouldn't make much sense as a fighter without his mechs, which are honestly a little bit too big, unless he ends up like a Bowser Jr. Echo Fighter. Guys, it's clear to me. Big the Cat is the only Sonic character who's really viable for a spot on the roster, given he's representing not only himself, but Amy Rose, Cream, and the Chows as well. None of the other characters from the Sonic franchise have this much sheer woohoo backing their inclusion. With that in mind, guys, I've got to give Big the Cat a chance score of 99%. Have you guys noticed that there have been no DLC characters with the same shade of purple as Big? Hero's purple is too light. Color theory, baby? There's not a single other character people want who is characterized by purple. Nope, none at all. Big's in, wrap it up, I've solved the puzzle. As for a want score, Big the Cat gets... oh, 100%. If the Big the Cat made it into Smash as a playable fighter, I think world peace would be achieved. Truly, Big the Cat is a character made to bring cultures together, and I think he'd be an excellent ending to the Fighter's Pass, because no doubt he's being saved till last. Blow our minds, Sakurai. Give us what we want. Big the Cat 2020. Fucking Jesus Christ. Oh, did I actually just do that? Woo! Alright, the scores have been updated, the leaderboard has been changed, and the top 10 rated characters are here. What do you guys think of today's ratings? This was a massive episode, so I would seriously appreciate it if you could leave a like, comment, and consider subscribing. We're less than 300 subscribers away from getting back to 20,000, which is a pretty fun number, I'm not gonna lie. Leave your suggestions for who to rate next week, but I'm going back to 4 characters again, this was a lot. Have a wonderful day, everyone. I'm going to pass out. Goodbye, guys.